What would the state of the world be like after centuries of industrial warfare on the scale of World War I or World War II? Millions of men and thousands, if not tens of thousands of tanks, planes, etc. on the battlefield at once. Bombing runs everywhere, hundreds of miles of trenches. The sea is drowned by the roaring of battleship guns. No nukes, but gas attacks and firebombings were common. Forgot the why of it. The important thing is that it happened. What would be the state of the world after? What resources would be scarce? What innovations might have developed? Solar panels existed as early as 1883, for example. It might be that they become used much earlier, as more potent fuels are confiscated for military use.
It just wouldn't happen. Like, okay.
No.
First of all, the Germans were literally starving to death at the end of World War One. So
a lot of people were starving.
Yeah.
You know, food was very scarce.
You can't
because
keep total
the whole
war.
trade wasn't happening. Nothing was happening.
You can't keep total war at that level for that long.
No.
It just doesn't work.
And the amount of casualties, you'll end up just filtering through all of them, and there'll be nobody left to fight.
Well, they literally did that with Germans, I suppose.
Yeah,
like,
but
Germany literally ran out of men.
But everywhere, if it's going to be like a total war, everywhere's going to run out of men.
Eventually, you couldn't do this for.
And even women, if they bring the women in, they're going to run out of women, and all they have left is kids.
I mean, kids are pretty good.
Well, Ozzy can throw.
But no, honestly, I don't see like total war being sustainable for any longer than maybe, honestly, 10 years tops. And
I think 10 years is pushing it.
I would say it's pushing it as well, if I'd be completely honest with you. But like, let's jump into this thread. But look, before I forget, we are working on a World War One game. It's out. It's completely free. It's not the full game, but this demo of
it's
sorts.
It's just like the base rules.
It's
really.
Look, it's enough to play. It's got an adventure. It's got a few classes. Honestly, I really want some feedback.
So take it, run with it. If you want to incorporate in any game that you see fit, because as we said, it's just really the base rules, then give it a go. And also, give us feedback.
It's free, guys. It's free.
Just go on and get it. It's literally free. Go on and get it. Give us feedback. Let us know. Is it worth it?
Yeah. I mean, if it's I mean, if the Google price are free, isn't even worth it. Then, oh Jesus, what have I done? What have I got myself into? But look, let's jump into this thread. Let's see what people have to say. Honestly, I just don't see that. Okay, you know what? I'll give my two examples. So either it ends up like what happened to actually us, where we end up with boomers, and we end up with like, we are the start of history, we cannot let this thing happen again, and we go hyper progressive, and it turns into like, honestly, the most soylent dystopia known to mankind.
Yeah.
Or it's completely and utterly 1984.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's much in between.
But there is nowhere in between on where it could go, though.
It's either one extreme or the other.
One extreme or the other. There's no.
It's either grim dystopia or fake grim dystopia. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's jump into the thread and let's see what people have to say, will we?
When you look at the sheer numbers of people we lost in the world wars, those losses are obviously not sustainable. If the war went on for long enough, sides would have to start surrendering purely because they can't fight anymore.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like, that's literally what I said. Like,
eventually you will just run out of bodies.
We can't.
Industrial war is very effective at killing people. And because it is that effective,
that's
it just
the thing.
Can't go on.
You can't sustain it.
Honestly, you're just going to run out of fuel and everything. Like,
and everything, ammo, everything else on top of it. You're just, it's not going to...
Look, I don't want to go all Ted Kaczynski here, but what is required for... Okay, never mind. Look, let's just keep going. I probably shouldn't be talking about such things.
The only way that this would continue at such a pitch is if surrender literally isn't an option. It's just mutual genocide with no hope of de-escalation or cooler heads prevailing. In which case, congratulations, you just reinvented 40k without the magic or sci-fi elements.
Well, you know, I think you could de-escalate this. You could do what the Germans did for most of World War One and just be on the defensive.
No, it would just turn into like, right, imagine the game Fallout, right?
Right.
But with...
Fallout fans when they were born with the autism trait.
Like, imagine the game Fallout, right?
Right.
But without the nuclear Fallout, and it's just like, you know, living off scraps and money as bottle caps. Like, that is it. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I could see that. I honestly, like,
you're walking about, like, with tin can shoes and stuff. Like, it's going to be ridiculous.
Eventually, you're going to run into rebellion. You can't indoctrinate people that much.
And
like,
expect...
results.
No.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. You can indoctrinate a population very well. We see that all the time. Again, I probably shouldn't be talking about
that.
But let's be serious, guys. You can't see it. People have been indoctrinated, and... I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
Right,
let's
continue before we get in trouble. As for what would be scarce, everything. We have to assume that at such a point in the war, everything that supports the war effort, food production, resource gathering, operations, etc., have all been extensively targeted in an attempt to force the other side to fail. Such a war cannot end until one or more powers have literally no infrastructure left with which to fight. And in a war for survival, that means no infrastructure left to live on either, because everything is available that could have been folded into the war effort was. It is a world that is essentially burned itself out. Everything that's within reach has already been used up or destroyed to deny it to the enemy. The only parts of the world not a shithole will be the places where the war never touched them, either because they were too far away from the front lines or because they simply were not important enough for anyone to fight over them. Up at Ireland. United Ireland.
We had the Easter Rising for World War One, and
jokes.
Yeah, of course.
Jokes, but
no, and
who's
it was
come for Ireland?
It's pretty. What was it? I read World War Z, so I did years ago before the movie came out.
World War Z,
whatever you want to say. And there was a bit in it where the Pope actually goes to live in Armagh. I was like, what the fuck? Armagh is a shithole. And the thing is, Armagh is quite literally a shithole. We're from Northern Ireland, and the whole country itself is a shithole. But that's
Armagh.
Armagh and Larne are like
Armagh and Larne.
That's you can't get anything literally worse.
So we're thinking about building the bridge from Northern Ireland to Scotland, right? And the first place they thought of was, we'll build it from Inverness or whatever it is to Larne. I was like, imagine coming over that bridge and you land in Larne.
Well, you know what?
Nobody else will get this.
No one else will.
Just Google Larne.
Yeah, it's fucking good, man. Alright, okay, let's just keep going,
right.
Alright?
But if the war went on for as long as you say, these places will be few and far between by now. They would have become increasingly important as things became scarce elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with that. But again, at the same time, I don't believe you can have places that weren't affected by
it
all the men would have been conscripted, or maybe they were used for resources.
Anything.
I just don't believe you can have
production,
any section
fuel,
of the world.
Anything. It's just everything's going to be used and it's going to be stripped dry.
Everything, total war is total war.
Yeah.
That's all I can really put on that. So let's see where can we go with this?
Even if you weren't one of the main powers,
let's say you're
look at World War
India,
II, for example.
India.
But look at World War II, for example. Even if you weren't the main players in it, near every country got affected.
Yeah, there was even neutral companies.
Yeah, neutral companies. They say they were
world.
Neutral, but they still got affected. It still affected the rest of the world. So if this goes on for years and years and years, it will affect them regardless. Yeah. Even if they try to stay neutral, because regardless, it's gonna. But
I'm going to assume that in this world, eventually everyone has to sign up. Eventually,
yeah.
Eventually,
because
they're not left.
Nobody's going to have no numbers.
Yeah.
So there's going to be invading somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
And once they invade the neutral, no standing ground, they're going to get conscripted because they're going to have to.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but we've got a website with lots of models. And whenever I say lots of models, I mean lots of models. We've got models for any setting that you can think of. With humans with biddies, animals that shouldn't have biddies but do have biddies, dwarves and elves with biddies. Look, we've got a lot of smut models. But it doesn't stop there. We really do have models for anything and everything. And to be honest, they look so good. Chef's kiss, so good. But it's not all smut for all you good Christian Minecraft server players. We've got you covered. And we even got the weebs covered too, which is unusual for this channel because we don't like weebs.
The weebs aren't that bad, okay? They're just fun to laugh at.
We also have 5th edition subclasses and adventures, which some of them are free for download, and we sell a physical printed copy of Steel Water as well, and you can request a signed version if that's your thing, where I'll draw a penis on it for you.
If you want us to sign a couple decks, we'll give you decks, okay, guys? That's what
anyway,
you want.
If you enjoy what we do here, go ahead and check out the website. It helps us out so much, and we don't need to worry about our YouTube overlord striking down another one of our channels. Our website is also now available as an app on Android. Also, and the winner of the daily giveaway is this guy! Yay! Woo! Woo!
Woo! Look, anyway, in for a chance to win, all you got to do is like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, automatically entered in.
And to claim the prize, you just send an email to neckbeardiacontact@gmail.com. Let's go back to the video. France lost so many young men it suffered a demographic crisis after World War I. In order to avoid having to disband their diminished divisions, they had to raise max service age significantly. Armies in that era like to compare how many divisions they had. The average age of soldiers in France was the highest in all of Europe. Their armies were slower and less willing to fight. This is one of the reasons they lost World War II. And this was after winning World War I.
I'll give it to the French. I feel like the French have had a hard time.
Yeah.
I really do feel like they really did lose the spirit of the nation was destroyed in World War I. Even if they did win, it was a definition of prolific victory.
Yeah.
It wasn't a victory. Technically it was a victory, but the soul of the nation
was completely destroyed.
It hasn't recovered. I don't think it's recovered.
I imagine that in a fictional timeline where World War I continues for many years, women would rapidly gain a lot of political rights. They would be set to the front to die just like men. Countries like France and the UK would begin mass importing colonial subjects from Africa and India to replace their dead soldiers. They would also set up programs to bring in immigrants from the Americas. Both countries would change very quickly and drastically in terms of the ethnic makeup.
Well, you see, I'm going to probably get into a bit of trouble here, but okay, so let's look at it. I believe when it comes to a lot of women's rights and stuff like that, I believe it's a result of World War One.
Yeah.
World War One was such it damaged the psyche so much. It was like, oh my god, what when all said and done, what have we actually done? This is insane. Like, we can't. This is ridiculous.
But yet they do it again.
Well, that's the thing, because almost it's like a whiplash. Almost like they create the League of Nations. The League of Nations proves not to be effective, and a lot of stuff does happen. And again, with World War II, again,
a lot of women had to go into the workforce.
Well, they have to, because you need to get them factories running.
You need to get the factories running because none of the men are there to work the factories, and we still need the factory to run because we need
stuff.
Production. We need stuff. Anyone got a ciggy, mate?
Look, no, but think about it, guys. Imagine at the start of the war. Let's not imagine the start of World War II. Let's imagine the start of World War One. The thought of bombing enemy cities, that is seen as during that time period, war was seen as very knightly or honorably within reason. It's almost as if whenever the enemy commander surrenders, they hand over their sword and the white gloves and all that sort of stuff, and it's very they try and put a heroic spin on it. You just don't have that later on. Once you start nuking civilian, once you start firebombing, what was it, Tokyo? You didn't even really need to
hellfire.
No, but honest to God, did they? Okay, I'm gonna say, did they need to nuke Japan?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they probably did it. I would argue, what if years later, after the war, it came out, oh yeah, by the way, guys, we had a super weapon, and it was expected near over 1 million GIs were gonna die invading the Japanese home islands.
I still think it's completely inhumane.
You could never.
Completely inhumane to use that.
It is inhumane, but can you think of where we started? When push comes to shove.
Yes, but they weren't. Yeah, but they weren't.
When push comes to shove, that's what I'm trying to get at.
It's the people that they killed.
Yeah, I know, it was the people that they killed.
It wasn't people who was in the war effort.
Also,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, okay, Japan did declare total war. That's the other big problem we've got with it.
Yeah, but the kids didn't.
I know, they didn't have a choice. That's the issue. But let's look at Japan from the other aspect. They were firebombing Japanese cities. Japan at the time were all made out of wood. All the buildings were pretty much wooden. You could firebomb them. What was it? They managed to destroy something like 80% of Tokyo in this course of a week and a half. You didn't need any nukes to firebomb, and they were just as effective. You know what I mean? So what's the big difference? I suppose it's the shock and awe of it all.
Yeah.
But again, just think about that. Think of how the mindset changes of...
I suppose it's because they didn't actually fully know what was going to happen.
Yeah, well, guys, we might set the atmosphere on fire, by the way.
Yeah.
Just put that out there. We might set the world on fire, but let's try it out. Look, it's only a small chance that's going to happen. But
look, it's only Japan.
No, but...
Imagine no manga, guys. No anime.
Well, But look, that's what I'm trying to get at. The idea of how a civilization can go from one to the other, and it only takes a few years of total war to get people to completely change their views.
Yeah.
And it's kind of terrifying, actually. Let's see what happens in Eastern Europe. Let's keep going. I don't want to get into trouble. I'm not talking about such things.
The climate would be annihilated, though in which direction would be complicated. On one hand, you're talking a fucking unfathomable amount of pollution and greenhouse gases being pumped into the atmosphere from all the coal and oil necessary to fuel that kind of a war machine. On the other hand, there's been hypotheses put forward that particulate from fire bombings and other mass devastations of urban areas could cause a volcanic winter.
I don't know. I haven't heard it.
Volcanic winter?
It's, it happened in Iceland not that long ago, whenever they shoot out all this dust, essentially, and it fills up the atmosphere, and then it creates way more, like, clouds and stuff, essentially, On
top of this, we're looking at leaded fuels being...
I mean, lead poisoning's pretty good. Whenever you... you kind of want people going a bit mad from lead poisoning.
On top of this, we're looking at lead fuels being ubiquitous at this point in time. The brief period we used leaded fuels, IRL, did unfathomable damage that we're still suffering the effects of today. I can't even imagine the impact of using leaded fuels for centuries. Fuck, your war might have ended before resources ran out, just because the entire world population may have become too brain damaged to continue to do it. Radium is also probably everywhere, since it was incredibly popular in timepieces and vehicle instrument panels to make them glow in the dark, like lead.
Oh, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it.
The mouth. Yeah. Oh my god.
Like lead, there's a good chance nobody would stop to overhaul the production lines and phase out radium while there's a war going on. We can solve that problem when it's over, after all.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, before I forget, I am looking to do a Marie Curie adventure. It's it's going to be part of the World War One Kickstarter, but it's going to be like a side magazine, essentially.
All the proceeds to that is going to Marie Curie.
Yeah, so they looked after Megan's
mum.
They
looked after my mum for about
4 weeks, yeah.
And we were able to get her home for the last 5 days of her life. And they, honestly, angels without wings, them people, they were absolutely amazing. So I want to try and do a bit of a charity event to try and raise money.
That, and also Marie Curie was literally talking about where uranium in her, unstable uranium in her pocket.
Based. Tell me that's not based.
Yeah, so, anyway, look, let's keep going.
The industrial runoff to fuel all of this, combined with chemical weapons, has probably ruined the world's water supply and destroyed most of the arable land. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
arable? If the catastrophic climate change didn't first, there is a very real chance that your world is borderline or completely unlivable.
I would agree with
that. Probably, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the thing is...
Honestly, I didn't even think about the lead, to be honest.
Out of all the stuff that's going on, would they have developed sarin gas? I want to, you know what? I'm not going to say that. But it would be interesting.
Maybe not sarin gas.
Yeah.
But maybe something
Another
else.
nerve agent.
Another nerve agent. Maybe not that, but maybe something else that...
Just as horrible.
Just as horrible. Just as deadly.
I see, this is the thing. I think nuclear weapons were going to happen no matter what. So I don't know. I tried to spray my radiators the other day and I thought I got sarin gas. I was... Yeah. Yeah.
If Marie and Pierre Curie had been born 20 years earlier but otherwise progressed through their work at the same rate during their lifetimes, World War I would have been fought with radium artillery. Not because it was effective or safe to fire, but just because the same way that chemical weapons were used, even though they were expensive, dirty, dangerous, and particularly ineffective, even at area denial once the enemy had some idea of what to expect.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. Like, thinking about it now, how, the Germans moved back with a scorched earth tactic, and then they launched Operation Michael in Georgette. The idea of moving back, what's the point in holding this land if you can't keep the land?
Yeah.
Why not just make an absolute death zone, and you can give them the worst land you can think of, and then give yourself the best land, and let them take it. Say, well, you know what? If you're gonna have to come get us, you know what? Just come get us. What are you doing? What are you waiting about for?
Yeah.
But yeah, I could definitely see that. The idea of well, you know what? They did try to do that with Curie, sure. Was it MacArthur? Yeah, it was MacArthur. This is whenever they said, generals are not allowed nukes. nukes. You just aren't. Because MacArthur was like, yeah, I need 50 nukes. I need to cut off the Korean peninsula from China. I got them on the run, boys.
I can't hold them.
Well, he did have them on the run and all, and he did, look, the Chinese were just going to go in. It made perfectly sound logical sense. However,
it's not sane.
As cool as MacArthur is, he should not be allowed to have nukes. I'm sorry, MacArthur. I love you to bits, but you're not allowed to fucking have nukes, man. I'm not letting MacArthur have nukes. Yeah, the world would be very different if MacArthur was allowed to have nukes. It would be probably more based, but it wouldn't be. We wouldn't be living in this. We would probably be living in more 1984 dystopia than our shit. What are we living in at the minute?
No, we'd be living in Fallout.
Yeah, we would be living in Fallout. Oh, look, I would take the Fallout over shitty fucking... Honestly, we're living in, what do you call it? Demolition Man. Where everyone, all of the... Everyone's talking about movies and all, you know what I mean? That's just what we've got. You listen to music recently?
I know.
Oh my god. Look, I think that's where we're going to wrap up. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going and keep going and keep going.
You could just keep going with it.
I really like this.
The main points were put through. What do you guys think? What do you think the global infrastructure and the way things would go?
Do you think MacArthur was sold out by the federal government? Do you think MacArthur...
No, Mr. FBI.
Do you think they said, they did my MacArthur bad, Do you think there's a plot to deal anything to do with Patton? Patton's death was very mysterious, guys. James,
stop it.
Alright, you know what, actually I will say one thing. MacArthur is hyper popular, but there's one thing that a lot of people that are big fans of him never seem to bring up. There was a lot of protests. A lot of veterans were promised some form of pension of sorts, or some disability allowance, and MacArthur blew that up and no one wants to talk about that anymore. But look guys, I'm just saying it, alright, because I know there's a lot of guys that love MacArthur and I love him too, but the guy wasn't a saint by any means.
Who is this fucking saint?
Yeah. Well, what is it? I really liked Churchill's best quote about it was, "All great men are most certainly bad men," which I really liked, and I thought, you know what, when you think about it,
you have to be bad to be good.
Well, you have to be the
the hero. You have to be the villain in other stories.
No, do the Jordan Peterson ones. You have to be dangerous. You have to come to monsters, defeat monsters. but it's true though. But no Gimbazoid's gonna get the fucking job done, are they? You know what I mean? In this side of the scenario, you can't be working with an absolute Gimbazoid.
Right. Look, this is turned in. Look, that's
it's true though. I'm just putting it out there.
I know, guys.
But yeah, look, guys, if you're interested in this idea, this setting, I would like to continue this thread because I think there's a lot more to be said about it. I think it's a really cool idea, and also we are working on a World War I game, and all the core rules are there. It's got a load of classes. It's literally free. The only thing that I would ask is please read over it and give us some feedback.
Please give feedback.
What do you think? One of the things that I think I'm going to change.
We have an email to send feedback forms.
No, we've got a feedback form.
Do we?
Yeah,
okay.
it's connected. It's at the back. So
Based.
I just fill out the form. No one's filled out a form yet. There's been over 400 people have downloaded it, and not one person's filled out the fucking form.
Nobody's fucking playing
No one's fucking filled out the form. Can you guys please fill out the form? There's been over 400 downloads, which, great, I love that and all, I'm great.
But
can I get some fucking feedback, man? I just want some fucking feedback, man.
Wait, end this video.
Look, okay, just check it out. Okay, the one thing I might change is I kept all weapon types the same. So pistols are pistols, rifles are rifles, shotguns are shotguns, so on and so forth. I have got it at the minute that you've got one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons. I might change that and give...
To pimping and not pimping?
Well, you want... I put the officer's backhand. Alright, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. I it feels like it's been forever since I've done a world building thread. I love these sort of ones, and they never do as well as our usual videos. So if you could share it, and if there's any Gimpazoid that that's word's bad, share it to them. We'll call them Gimps. Alright, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
time.